Hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. It's your brother and friend Toyib Adelodun here. I'm sure a lot of you know me that I do a lot of coaching as much as I can. I'm a civil engineer by trade, but over the last few years, I've been immersed in this world of coaching, trying to help as much young people as possible get up, with all the tools that they need to make life better. It's challenging, but we can do a lot of great things. Right here in the studio is someone that you all know is visiting London for the first time, all the way from California. Dr. Michael Taiwo, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing very well. And
London is beautiful, by the way.
It's subjective, I would say.
True. I've only been to Canary Wharf.
You've only been to Canary Wharf, so you've been to the very, very nice parts of London. So I think there was someone that tweeted something recently. One of our brothers, Tayo, he does a lot of YouTube videos online, and then he took a picture of a part of Paris that is different from the Paris that people usually see, and he said, why do people adore Paris if Paris looks like this? But there is a bit of context to it. Every big city, like London, Paris, they've got like their zone ones. They've got their zone 2s, they've got their zone 3, they've got zone 4, zone 5. So most of us that are tourists, we visit zone 1, basically. But if you go outside the zone 2, the zone 3, you see the real city, the hustle. But London is a very beautiful city.
I like it. And, not to be philosophical, but everything has their zone 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s.
Exactly.
So it depends on what you want to focus on.
It depends on what you want to focus on. That is very, very important. Amidst the challenges, we focus on the positives. Thank you so much, Dr. Taiwo. And I was just like, you flew in from California, and we were setting all of these arrangements, and we said we had to do this because this is your first time in London. I don't know how long it will take for us to be able to see again, and we want to extract as much value from you as possible.
There's not much to extract. Okay.
We want to get as much knowledge from you as possible, and we are having that big symposium tomorrow.
Yeah.
But we wanted to do this before you go back to the US, and just to get an understanding of who is Dr. Michael Taiwo. Why do you do what you do? There must be some part of you that makes you want to give back to the young people. I watched one of the events, I think, that happened at your university. And one of the senior people at the university, probably the VC or something, someone officiating that event was talking about all you do with MT scholarships and all of those amazing work. But people will want to know, who is Michael Taiwo? How did the journey start? Where did it start? What were those things that are part of your childhood that makes you who you are? Please tell us.
I guess my first question will be, how long do we have?
We haven't got a lot of time, but tell us, please tell us.
As you know, I was born and raised in Offa. Offa is it's actually a British colonial town.
Amazing.
So, now I'm in Britain. Yeah, but Offa is a British colonial town. You could see the fingerprints of the British everywhere, whether it's in the railroad or in the old architecture, and even in the school I went to, the British had a hand in setting it up. So born, but it's a poor, relatively speaking, it's a poor city.
In dollar terms or in naira terms now?
I would even say, even in dollar terms, most cities in Nigeria are poor.
All right. That's true.
Even for Nigerian standard, it's not like one of the richer zones. In fact, I don't know what is classified now, but as at the time I was writing my JAMB in 1999, Kwara was classified as an educationally disadvantaged state.
Wow.
Yeah. So the reason I remember that was one of the reasons I was able to get into Ife.
Wow.
Because if you are from an educationally disadvantaged state, your cutoff mark is a little lower than
Where there is high competition.
than the normal cutoff. So
Okay.
I'll give you an example. In the year that I got into Ife, the cutoff mark for chemical engineering students for normal, if you're from Ogun State or Lagos State, for instance,
Okay.
the normal cutoff mark, I think, was 240, 240,
Amazing.
240.
Okay.
But if you are from an educationally disadvantaged state, the cutoff mark was 228. So it was 12 points lower. And that was official. You don't have to go and beg anybody or anything. That was baked into it. And I had 235.
Wow.
Because I wrote my JAMB in SS2.
Wow.
So I had 235. So I was above the cutoff mark, and that was how I was able to get it.
Amazing. Amazing.
That's just like a side story. But to answer your question, why I do what I do is just because I feel like we are so far behind as a race, as a black race in general, as a country, Nigeria in particular. I think we're so far behind that we need as many people as possible pulling the cart, and it's not for lack of potential. I keep saying that, it's not for lack of potential, especially with my work now with Empty Scholarship. Oh, Jesus, I see so many brilliant people,
but the opportunities,
it's not there. So I try to give back by providing as many opportunities as I can. I know I'm only one person, which is why I also like to network. I admire what you do a lot, and I'm here. Like to work with you, like to work with others that are also just trying to do as much as possible for the community. Because nobody's coming to save us. Not the UN, not UNICEF, you're not UNDP, nobody. Not the US.
Wow.
If it's going to happen, it has to come from us. And that's really my drive.
That is very deep. And one thing I can say to that is that we hope some more people join us on this journey.
I hope so.
Because I think it's UN statistics that say that Nigeria has, let's say, 70% of the population is under 25 or something. So there is a huge challenge in terms of creating opportunities for the younger people. So if you look at what percentage of our budget goes to education, goes to training, then you see the kind of issues we have just plotting the graph a little bit forward. And then there's another challenge that our population in the next 30 years will be just behind India and China. Wow. So we are likely to double our population in the next 30 years. That is a challenge that we have. That is why the work you do is so critically important, that we need more people to do it. And I can't thank you enough for what you do. We talked about it on the train. Like, I can't thank you enough, because I see young people saying Empty Scholarship. I was able to get this via Empty Scholarship. I was able to get this through Empty Scholarship. And it resonates with me, because while I was trying to study abroad as well, I knew the challenges I faced. I knew how hard it was to raise money. There was a time I traveled to Cotonou to send $25 to a friend that will help me pay my application fee.
Exactly.
Those challenges are real.
And that's the reason for the existence of the program. Because not only is it difficult to find the money, and 5 years ago when we started, the exchange rate was still funny. Now it's not funny anymore.
Wow. It's more difficult. Yes.
It's more difficult
to raise the naira to get the equivalent dollar.
Yes. If the naira now is what? 1,200, 1,300.
Yes.
Imagine paying for, if you want to apply for any California school, the application fee is $155. $155. Not much to somebody in the US.
Yes.
So multiply that by 1,200 naira. How many? And remember, this has to be discretionary funds. So even if you are making that amount as your salary, doesn't mean you'll be able to afford it.
Yes.
Because you have to pay rent, you have to pay transport fee, you have to feed.
Yes.
So it has to be something that you can save.
That you can, disposable income, basically.
Disposable income.
And you may not apply to one or two schools as well. You might want to apply to...
You have to apply to many.
Exactly.
I'll tell you, like there's an empty scholar from the last year. She's going to a fully funded, program this year.
Amazing.
But she applied to 10 schools. 10.
Wow.
10 schools to get one fully funded
scholarship.
Offer. So imagine if she didn't apply to 10.
If she couldn't afford to apply to 10.
And she wouldn't have been able to afford to apply to 10.
Wow.
Wow.
So it's just that line, that what money can do if you are able to have it added to your potential, the chances of things that could happen.
And I have no doubt that she's going to go in there and just wow
the establishment.
Wow the professors.
There's no shortage of talent.
So, but that's the amount of work that sometimes is required. Right? 10 schools. And rejection after rejection after rejection. I think 2 schools gave her admission without funding,
which is literally useless if you don't have someone bankrolling you.
Are you kidding me? We're talking about $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 per year.
Yeah. Wow.
So but she finally got one.
Wow. Thank you so much for that deep breakdown. So another thing I want to ask, growing up, how was growing up like? What was your dad like? What was your mom like? Did you have like tiger parents, or how was growing up like in Offa?
It was amazing. So my dad was in the army.
Okay.
So he fought in so many wars. People, when I say that, people are like, oh, but Nigeria wasn't fighting wars. But remember that anytime there is a war somewhere, Nigerians sent like some troops,
like ECOMOG.
So he fought in so many wars, and I think I got some of that from him. I'm a fighter. No, I don't throw grenades. I don't, handle guns, but I fight in my own way.
Amazing.
And I also think I have that. So another thing I think I got from him is just that I'm really not afraid of death.
Wow.
I'm really not afraid of death.
Wow.
And I think that has helped me a lot in life, because once you can look at death in the face and say,
what is it?
Who are you? Not today. You're not going to take me today.
Wow.
But one day, you take me, and that's fine.
Wow.
Once you can look death in the face like that, nothing else will scare you.
Wow.
If you're not afraid of death, you can't be afraid of public speaking, because what are the people going to do to you?
Amazing.
If you're not afraid of death, you're not afraid of failure, because if you fail, then what? You pick yourself up and you move on again. So I think that has really helped me. But so that's my dad. He was, and I think something else that I got from him was, because he was in the army, he moved around different barracks.
Okay.
Across Nigeria. So growing up, we visited different barracks.
So did you have to move when he moved?
No, we stayed in Offa.
Okay. But you were able to visit the barracks that your dad was positioned at.
So like if there is a break,
holiday,
whatever.
Okay.
So because of that, I've actually visited more Nigerian cities
than the average Nigerian. Amazing.
I think I can say that.
Amazing.
And I did all this even before I was a teenager.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
So I have a Nigerian first mentality
Mm.
because of that.
Mm.
Like not Yoruba first mentality
Yes.
or
Yes.
Kwara first mentality or
Yes.
my
Yes.
people first mentality.
Yes.
I just have a Nigerian first mentality
Amazing.
because I think
Amazing.
he is a military man. He fights for the country.
Yes.
Heck, he fights for other countries.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
So that's just the way I was raised. My mom was a teacher, and then eventually she became a vice principal. So I was actually born in a staff quarters.
Wow. Wow. In a school staff
In
quarters.
a school staff quarters.
Wow.
Born and
Amazing.
raised in a school staff quarters. Yeah, and I'm the last of 5 kids.
Wow. Okay.
And we adopted. I would say adopted. There was no formal adoption papers.
Yes.
We have like 5 other kids living with us.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
I
Which is
grew
kind of typical of a lot of African parents. Somebody will come and stay with you
you
and never
understand?
go back.
And especially because my mom was an educationist, right? So a lot of them will be like, "Oh, go to her
And get some discipline.
and get some discipline and get some education and things like." And she was a disciplinarian.
Wow.
So 10 kids growing up, and I was the youngest.
Wow.
So I had to quickly learn how to navigate because somebody will say go left and another person will say go right. And then you'll be like, okay, I need to figure something out here.
Amazing.
So that was basically growing up. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. We didn't have money, but we had everything else, which was more important.
More important.
Love of learning, love for one another.
Amazing.
Love of God.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing. That's beautiful. So your primary school was in Offa.
Yes. Secondary school.
Secondary school was in Offa. Was it the same school?
No, it's a different school. It's there is literally like a fence that separates my primary school from my secondary school.
Amazing. Amazing. So you could see your seniors from the other side.
So we walked to my primary school because you just get out of the fence of the secondary school and then you kind of walk a little bit, and then it's almost like how we got here. We walked around the building. Yeah, you just walk around the fence and you're in my primary school.
Wow. Beautiful.
My primary school was really good. So it's I think the first private primary school in Kwara State.
Wow.
So it was quite good. I think I owe a lot to my primary school.
To that early education, how strong it was.
Sound and strong.
Wow.
Because my secondary school was public and it wasn't sound.
It wasn't as sound, but because you had that background from a very good private school, you were able to take that to secondary school.
Yes, sir.
Wow. I get that. When we look at what is going on in our country in terms of the conditions of early education for so many young people, I think it is something that actually needs a state of emergency at the moment. The conditions that we are kind of giving those young kids the tools to face the future. You just talked about how important that good private
absolutely
education was in your primary level, because it helped you a lot when you get to the secondary school, and you see the impact as well as you move ahead into higher education. So in your secondary school, how competitive was it? How were you able to, because in Nigeria we have this thing where you get to choose if you want to be a science student, or you want to be a commercial student, or you want to be an art student. And we had that issue during our time where people used to believe, it is the smart people that go to science class. It is the one that is middle that go to the commercial. It is the one that can't do science that go to the art class. And in my work now, I've been talking to a lot of younger people and be like, look, try and look at what you want to do in future. See what it aligns with. Don't just go into science because of this. I didn't have any elder sibling. I was the eldest. So
So we're opposite.
yeah. So I didn't have anyone to tell me anything. And my dad didn't go past secondary school. So it was just like, oh, science class, just go. It wasn't that I had this big idea in mind. So how was it like for you? Were you really, really determined to be in science, or you followed your friends to science, or how was it?
I think it was just I took it for granted that I'll be in science class to be frank with you. Um, I think, but I also have to be because starting from my GSS two, I knew I wanted to be in the oil and gas industry.
Wow, amazing.
So I was at GSS two. By GSS three, I was almost convinced that I was going to study petroleum engineering or petrochemical engineering
Wow.
as of GSS 3.
Wow.
So I already went into, so, if you want to do that, if you want to be an engineer, especially a petroleum engineer, petrochemical engineer, then you have to be in science class.
Yes. And then you'll be polishing your chemistry and your physics by then.
Exactly. Amazing. And by the time I was going to write my JAMB, I told you that I wrote my JAMB in SS2. It was purely accidental, and that was the jam that got me into Ife. I just followed my sister. She was going to the post office. Then you can't buy it online or wherever. You go to the post office and buy the jam form. She was going to the post office, and then she said, "Hey, do you want to follow me?" I said, "Sure." And then I just escorted her to the post office. And then when she bought it, she had enough money to buy another one. And then she looked at me and she said, "You're smart. Would you try jam?"
Would you try jam?
I'm like, oh, yeah.
Why not?
That was how I got the jam for, and that totally changed my life.
Wow.
But when I was picking, I wanted Ife too, but Ife did not have, and still do not have, petroleum engineering or petrochemical engineering. They have chemical engineering.
Okay.
So I picked chemical engineering.
Amazing.
And that's how I became a chemical engineer.
Wow. People have written about how good you were in secondary school. One of our brothers, Suraj Oyewale, he wrote a lot about how competitive you were in secondary school. How did that come about? Like being able to prepare every term and get as high marks as possible. How were you able to do that? The discipline that it takes, the hard work that it takes to put into all of that.
So, and I'm going to, be very transparent here. It's I told you I was the last one.
Yes.
Right. The firstborn of the family is actually a genius.
Wow.
Like is very smart, super smart. So growing up, people kind of compared me with him.
Amazing.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
Because he was also the only other guy. Everybody else, females.
Female. So it was just you, for female, and then him as well.
You understand?
Right.
So he was the first person is a male, the last person is a male, like everybody else females. The adopted folks too, most of them were females.
Wow.
So I grew up among a lot of females. Right. But my point is, he was just so smart. So people would be like, I would, and back in the day before I got on X, I used to write Facebook notes. I've actually written a whole story about this before then on Facebook. Like I would come home and I would get like, say, 95 over 100. And they'd be like, oh, yeah. You wouldn't see that excitement.
Yeah.
Because during his time, he got 100 over 100. You understand?
So there's always room for improvement.
Yeah, he's always like, yeah, you're good, but
no,
we'll seem better.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're good, but your brother was.
So you were living in the shadow, basically.
Exactly. So there was this urge to be like, okay, I have to break out of this shadow. I have to do something.
Mm,
You know, so many of the, so even though, you know, I was top of my class and things like that, that really didn't get to me in a positive way. Because when I get to them, they'll be like, yeah, but you know.
You didn't do all right. I get that. So your classmates will be looking at you and be thinking, we are competing with this guy, but you are competing with someone else.
From the past.
Amazing.
It's like if you're looking at a footballer now.
Yes.
And maybe the footballer is great, but people are like, yeah, but it's not as good as Pele.
Yeah, you know, that's Maradona. It's not as good as what more can I put in?
Exactly, so that people can say, well, he's better than Maradona. Or better than
Pele. Or he's in their league.
Or at least he's in their league. Right? So that's I think an analogy.
Amazing. So with your exploits in secondary school and taking JAMB at SS2, you got into Ife. How was Ife? How would you say it is in terms of what role did Ife play in molding the kind of person you are now? Because it's a foremost Nigerian institution.
Yes,
like the top of the cream.
You're right. So I guess the first question will even be why Ife, right? Because if you were born and raised in Offa, and you went to secondary school in Offa, you're most likely you go to Uni Ilorin or Futmina or AB Zaria or BUK Kano. I would say those are like the top 4 destinations.
Choices and destinations.
Yeah, for people from Kwara. So why Ife? Because like you said, it's like the topmost institution. And I feel like, you know, if I go to those institutions that I mentioned, Uni Ilorin and things like that, no offense, but I wouldn't be challenged.
Okay.
Right? I just feel like they will be easy for me. Ife, I feel like I'm going to meet people from the schools I've been hearing about. The Mayflowers of this world.
Right.
The King's College.
Yes.
The ISI. Those are all the schools that I hear, even though I was in Offa Grammar School, you know, backwater. But, you know, I hear Mayflower, King's College.
Yeah, King's
and
College,
I'm like, I want to go to Ife. I want to meet people from those schools and I want to compete with them.
Exactly.
I'm from Offa Grammar School. Yes. You know, we don't have computers. We don't have... Yeah. But I want to go to Ife so that I can meet people from those schools.
Yeah.
From the federal government colleges.
Yes.
I want to go to Ife so that I can meet them. And then let me pit my wits against them.
Exactly.
So I to be honest, I went to Ife with a little bit of a chip on my shoulder.
Yes. To say let's go there. Let's fight it out.
Yeah.
Like the battle of
proud of a boy. Of a grammar school. Yeah.
That's fine.
That's fine. You went to all those fancy schools. Okay.
Let's go. Amazing. So that was the initial plan when you picked Ife, because you wanted, and
I wanted to be where the best are.
You didn't want to chicken out of the fight. You wanted to go to where the elites play, like the
Premier League.
The Premier League. You wanted to play with the Man United, the Arsenals. You wanted to be there.
Exactly.
And
I don't want to be in no championship or Division 3. You know, no disrespect to all those schools. No.
Not at all.
I don't want to start a university war.
But you just wanted to look at it and say, okay.
I want to be in the Premier League.
You want to go to the top school in town. Yeah. I mean, in the country. Yeah. And one thing I want to ask in that area is that, you know, you mentioned about competitiveness.
Yeah.
You know, what your eldest brother looks like and what you look like, that competition you had at home, and how you finished secondary school and you want to say, okay, let me now go to this place. And I could see that fight that you've carried all along from being a young person to getting into university. So in Ife, how was it when you had to pit your your fight with the battle of brains in a chemical engineering class. That wouldn't be easy, I'm sure.
No, it wasn't. Surprisingly, most of my prediction about what I was going to get from Ife became true.
Okay.
Which I say surprising because, if you think about it, I was in SS2 when I was making the decision to go to Ife. So I was actually accurate. The only thing that disappointed, so the people, the students, fantastic, brilliant. It truly the Premier League, like the best brains in the country, they go to Ife. It's truly the Premier League.
UI students might debate that.
Oh boy, I'm in trouble now. So, where was I?
The quality of the students was great.
Was great.
Something disappointed you were saying.
The professors. The professors. Shabby. 50-50.
Okay.
Half of them top notch. But even the half they were top notch were the older generations.
Okay.
Like the ones that came to Imperial College to study or went, the older generations. The younger ones, not like what I was expecting. So I was kind of a little disappointed in the quality of the education, in the quality of the teaching. We were using curriculums from the 70s, 80s. Our labs weren't working. I did not perform a single experiment in chemical engineering.
Wow.
We did some experiments in chemistry class. We did some in physics in my part 1. But like chemical engineering experiments in chemical engineering lab, no.
Wow.
Cobwebs all over the lab.
Wow.
So the quality of the education disappointed me. And it was actually one of the reasons I said, I can't go to the industry with this education. I don't care that, from when I was graduating, I got the best students in unit operations. Unit operations is like the core of chemical engineering. Chemical reaction, distillation, separation, mass transfer. I had a prize as the best student in unit operations. And I did not perform a single experiment in chemical engineering. If I went to the industry with that, I would feel like a fraud. So that experience, I said, oh no, there is no way I'm not going
for masters.
For at least a master's at that point.
Wow.
I have to go to a proper school, get a proper education.
But the challenge we now have, which is still something that we are facing till today, your experience now at arguably the best university in Nigeria speaks volumes. And it goes to the question that we have always been asking policymakers and people in charge, that how are you preparing young Nigerians for the job market? Because if you have studied at one of the biggest universities in Nigeria and you have this kind of experience, what are we saying about people that studied, let's say they did biology or they did those courses that are meant to be practical intensive, For your course, for example, there should be, if I'm in charge, there should be opportunities to visit refineries. There should be opportunities, to go to where things are happening. There should be opportunities that should be part of what you are teaching that young person that is going to go into the industry. So we now have a situation where quite a lot of people are coming out of the university, but they are not fit for the industry that we are preparing them for. So
and remember, this was early 2000s. So it's probably, I'm talking about things that happened 20 years ago.
24 years ago. 4 years. Ready for.
Unfortunately,
Mm,
it has gotten worse, not better.
right.
So if I could say this then,
What is there now?
you know, that's why I tell, my scholars, like, just prepare to be shocked when you are faced with a real curriculum, and especially if you're doing like a practical. And a lot of them come back and say, you're absolutely right.
You're right.
A first class chemistry graduate that does not know how to titrate.
Titration that was meant to have been done during WAEC.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in WAEC, we have alternative to practicals.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then it goes to the university, the labs are not functioning. So again, it's all theory.
The opportunity was not there to
do it.
to do the practicals.
First class chemistry graduate now learning how to, and of course titration is like the list of your problems, right?
Yes.
But
yes.
you have to go back.
You have to go back. You have to go back and catch up on all those bits that you've missed for you to.
Yeah.
Wow.
But then again, like I said, the potential is there, so that's not a problem. Your
We
first
just need to
semester,
put-
your first year might be rough
Mhm.
because you have a lot of catching up to do.
A lot of catching up to do. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So after university, where did you serve?
I served at my brother-in-law's farm.
Which state was that?
I served in Lagos.
Okay.
So I think one of my gifts in life is I just always have an intuitive feel for the next step.
Okay. You always think a couple of more steps ahead, like playing chess.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think it's just a gift. Like I told you, when I was in GSS2 or GSS3, I already knew I wanted to be in the oil and gas industry. By GSS3, I already knew petroleum and petrochemical. By SS2, I knew I wanted to go to Ife. I went there. After my first semester, so the way Nigeria is, or at least my chemical engineering education, the first year you really can't tell it apart from any other person. Everybody kind of took the same.
Yes. The same modules.
The second year, almost like that too, especially if you're still engineering. So by the third year was when you actually start majoring in
your core.
By my first semester of third year, I already knew I wanted to go for my master's. At least my master's at that point.
Okay, but you were not sure if it was going to be in Nigeria or outside Nigeria.
Oh, I knew it was not going to be in Nigeria. If I was already in the best school in Nigeria,
and you feel like that,
I know going to Unilag or Ibadan or whatever
to go and do your master's would just be same of the same.
Exactly.
Right.
So by my
in terms of experience.
So by the end of the first semester in my third year chemical engineering, I already wrote off. I mean, I still knew I have to finish well, which I did.
Yes.
But I kind of already knew that I was going to go for
your master's abroad. So were you already kind of researching what it would take to study abroad then?
No. I just knew.
Okay.
So you first know.
Okay.
Right? And then you start
pulling information
together to help move from knowing to action.
To action.
Right? So I just first knew. And then I was like, okay, what do I need to do? But the thing is, your reticular activation system, that's the part of your vision that scans the environment to pick what you're already thinking, right? If you're thinking purple, what's going to happen is you're going to look around this room and purple will start jumping out at you. Even if it's just the tiny bit of purple that is in this room, it's going to jump out at you. That part of our vision is called the RAS, the reticular activation system. So you begin to like, okay. So my reticular activation system was on, but now I have to now find information that is in that zone.
That will confirm
it. Luckily for me, there was a brother in our fellowship that got a fully funded offer to Georgia Tech.
Wow.
He made a first class in chemistry, and then he got a fully funded offer in Georgia Tech. I still remember the day I heard that news. I did not sleep. I was so excited for him. I could not sleep.
What is this?
Like, this is somebody I know. This is somebody that we've drank Gary together. And, he graduated with the first class. We went to his graduation. And then, like, a few months later, he said, he's going to Atlanta, Georgia, to Georgia Tech.
Wow.
To study chemistry, PhD, fully funded. I was so excited. I could not sleep that night. Like, that was like the level of excitement
that you had for him.
For him.
Like, this thing is actually possible. Something like this is happening.
And like, you got
confirming the things that you've been thinking about as well.
So, of course, I was just asking him all the questions. How did you do it? What did you study? What did you... So that was how my journey started. Wow. But then again, if I didn't go to Ife, I wouldn't meet somebody like that. Right? So that was why I wanted to go to Ife, to get exposed.
To get exposed.
To things that I didn't even... I got to Ife before I knew that there was something called SAT. SAT. I didn't know. Maybe, if I had gone to King's College, maybe I would have come here for my undergrad or something. I didn't SAT. I like... You know what happened? And after my first semester in Ife, in my second semester, there were some students that I didn't see anymore. I'm like, where's this guy? They're like, oh, he's in the US now. Oh, he's in the UK now.
He wrote SAT.
I was like, what? SAT? Come again? SAT.
What is that?
What is that?
The funny thing? I did a video recently that went viral on TikTok. And I was talking about SAT. And I said, I have known SAT since 2003. I wrote my first SAT in around 2003, 2004. And loads of parents have been reaching out to me that they don't know what SAT is. They don't know what SAT is. What is SAT? How do they register for the exam? What is College Board? And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I have had this information 20 years ago. I mean, 2003, 2004, that's 20 years ago. How come it is still news to some people? And it goes to saying, like, you went to Ife to hear about it. I heard about it in Lagos, and one of the benefits of living in, like, being brought up in a place like Lagos is that information flies around.
Yeah.
You just get to, in Lagos, it's like cosmopolitan, like you get people from all over the world. Our landlord was from Benin. Our neighbor is from Imo. If you move down there, you see people from all over the world, all over Nigeria that have come there. Even you meet people from Togo, people from Benin that have come to Lagos to hustle.
It's a melting pot.
It's a melt. Exactly. So I got that information. I was thinking, how come people don't know about that? Okay. In fact, I'm scheduling some master classes for some parents to explain to them what SAT is, how they can prepare for it, what are the opportunities that are there.
Doing that.
We have to. The same job you are doing, we have to. Because I think it was Zig Ziglar that said, you cannot hit a target you do not see.
That's deep.
Deep. If you can't see it, it's just like the reticular activation system you said. If it is not there already,
you won't see it.
You won't see it. And that is the job that we have now, to expose more younger people to global opportunities. Don't think Nigeria alone. Don't think your state alone. Don't play local when you can be international. We have people like Adekunle Gold, people like Ashake, people like Wizkid. We have people like Burna Boy closing out stadiums now. You can do that in your own career path as well. Whatever you have chosen, I mean, you played in one of the biggest roles, when you eventually got into Shell. You were head of hydrogen operations in North America. Yeah. Like, how does it feel to be in that position? Like, you wanted to play with the big boys in Ife, you wanted to play with the big boys in the US, and you got there to play in that role. Yeah.
And I didn't play alone. I was the Agba striker, deadly striker.
Sajarus will contest that. I don't know who gave you that your title. So, continuing our discussion, one of the first problems I think we have as young Africans is believing that it is possible.
Yeah.
So you came from Offa. Offa is not Ilorin. Offa is not Lagos.
No.
You went all the way to America. You did really well in your master's.
I skipped master's actually. I just went straight to PhD.
You went straight to PhD. So you didn't do master's at all. You skipped master's and you went straight to PhD. There are a lot of people that want to say, how is that even possible? So tell us, how was that possible for you to skip master's and go straight to PhD?
Just do well.
Do well.
Do well.
As much as you can.
As much as you can. Then information. You know. Follow accounts that are talking about these opportunities.
Okay.
That are showing you how to do it.
Okay.
And then just like we say, follow who know road.
Follow who know road. Pick your mentors very, very wisely.
Strategically.
The books you read, the people you follow, the kind of information you consume. You know, there was something going on the internet recently. I think it was Drake and Kendrick Lamar. They were having like a bit of, like rappers do from time to time. And it was going on and on and on. And somebody said a tweet that someone was asking him, is he up to date with what is going on between Drake and Kendrick? And he was asking me, is your CV up to date?
Ooh.
Because that is what matters to you most, not what Kendrick and Drake are doing. That doesn't add any dollar to your pocket. But
I love that.
Following who knows the road, as you said, following the right people, staying around people that are sharing those kind of information. It's very, very critical.
It's vital.
And that was how you were able to know that I could skip my master's.
Because I saw somebody that did it.
Because you saw somebody that did it.
I saw somebody that got a fully funded PhD offer in one of the best schools in the world.
Wow.
And I was like, oh.
And not doing masters at all.
No, yeah.
Wow.
I was like, oh. I told you, I did not sleep that night.
It is possible.
Like, I was so excited for him. So I was just like, I was telling everybody I could find.
Wow. Wow.
You know?
Wow.
Because that was just like, oh my goodness, this is my future right there.
Wow.
I'm going to do exactly what he did.
But there are some people though, there are some young people that might be thinking, and I want you to answer that question from what you do with MT scholarships and what you have seen in the US around the globe. Some people might be saying, I am in 100 level now. Can I still get funding when I finish my school? In 4 years' time, will funding still be available? Because some people think funding will finish.
It will not finish.
Okay? Please say it again today. Let them know.
Funding will not finish. The world is awash with capital. Look, where are we right now? Where are we having this podcast?
In Canary Wharf, London.
What are we seeing all around us?
Money. We just walk past the European headquarters of all the big banks in the world. Barclays, HSBC,
City.
City,
State
Street. All their headquarters are just around the corner here.
The world is awash with capital.
And capital is chasing opportunity.
That's it. And whether that opportunity is a human being that shows potential.
Or
a business that shows potential, capital will chase it. You don't have to chase capital.
So just be a person of value. Do the deep work. Be as good as you can be.
My DMs, it's full with people saying, I have 4 fully funded offers. Which one should I pick? 4 fully funded offers. Which one should I pick?
So the opportunities are there. Amazing. So there you go. The opportunities are there.
So my encouragement to you then would be just be somebody of value. If you're in 100 level, 200 level, whatever it is, know that if you finish with the highest GPA possible and you keep having the right information and you keep depositing value in yourself, the money is there for you. There's always been a market for talent. That was true 500 years ago, 50 years ago, and it's going to be true 100 years from now. Technology is not going to change that.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Taiwo, for giving us that nugget. So if you are in 100 level, you've heard it. If you are in 200 level, you've heard it. If you are in 300 level, you heard it. Finish with the highest GPA possible for you. Cut out all distractions that will stop you from achieving. Cut out all, like, your future self will thank you for putting in that effort.
Absolutely.
Look at Dr. Taiwo. He's just jumbo jetting around the world now. You can see how big his smile is. You cannot be as, well compensated at him like him and not smile like that. So finish with as high as possible your GPA will be. We know the challenge we have in Africa. The parents are going, like, they are doing all they can to support you. And I know some of you are supporting yourself. Just try your best, try your hardest. And you will always be able to look at yourself and know if you tried hard or not.
Yeah.
You will always know.
I like that. You'll be like, am I giving it my best, or can I, a lot of cars are automatic these days, but can I change the gear to like gear 5? If you're still in 1 or 2, you're still not
putting in your best. Make sure you are putting in your best. So when you now got into the PhD, now one bit I want us to touch on, getting that fully funded scholarship. What did you have to do? Up your GPAs.
GPA, GRE.
GRE. Some people have to do GMAT, right?
Yeah,
depending on.
Yeah, especially if they're going for a management course.
Okay.
GMAT is the graduate management admission test. So
okay.
If you are doing an MBA or some management programs, GMAT might be more suited for you. Statement of purpose,
okay.
Letter of recommendation, and it's more popular now. It wasn't popular then, but cold emailing, just knocking on doors, like I say.
Cold emailing.
Email a professor, say, hey, I like your research, aligns with mine. Do you have funding in your lab for me? No, you move on to the next one. No, you move on to the next one. That's it.
And that brings us to one topic about rejection. Like, there are a lot of young people that get rejected in the course of their pursuit, in the course of their goals, and some of them get dejected about it. How much rejection is to be expected, and how do we deal with it?
Well, I already told you about an empty scholar this year.
Yes.
Best student, not in a class, not in a department, not in a faculty, but in a university.
Wow.
She was the best student in a university, 4.96.
Wow.
10 schools, 1 fully funded admission.
Wow. So if you are a second-class upper and you are facing rejection, just listen to that and understand that you are not alone. Rejection is not, I think it was Jim Rohn that said, rejection is not a punishment reserved for the poor.
You gotta love Jim Rohn.
You got to love Jim Rohn, right? The old Jim Rohn. Yeah, so we should be prepared for it.
So my first round of schools that I applied to, of course, I picked Georgia Tech because of my
because of your friend,
University of Houston, University of Pennsylvania, and I've forgotten the fourth school now. I picked 4 schools, Carnegie Mellon University.
Oh, Carnegie Mellon, yeah.
Picked 4 schools.
Rejected.
I was on the waiting list for University of Pennsylvania. The rest rejection. I was so mad, especially University of Houston. I was like, I followed everything people told me to do. Pick one dream school, pick 2 schools you think, and pick one that you think. So University of Houston was the one I was thinking.
Yes.
When I called them, they said, "Oh, but." Thinking back now, it made sense. University of Houston is the oil and gas capital of the world.
Yes.
So their chemical engineering department
is one of the most sought after.
So even though for whatever reason it wasn't ranked high, but a lot of people still apply. They
Because
said,
industry will come in there
because industry will come in there and
to pick.
pick.
And
But I wasn't even thinking about that when I applied.
when you applied,
I was just thinking, oh, ranking. Oh, I should get in this one because it's low rank. No, it's in it's a chemical engineering department in an oil and gas city. What were you thinking? They said 1,200 people applied that year, and you're only going to pick 6 people.
That was the process of getting into your university. You gave us everything that
GRE,
you had to go through: GRE, GPA, SOP, letter of
recommendations, and then just knocking on doors.
Amazing.
It's a numbers game.
It's a numbers game. At the end of the day, it's a numbers game. But if you are not ready to put in the numbers, the chances of getting the result are very
small. I tell people it's a full-time job.
A full-time
job. So, do you want to do this or not? It's a full-time job.
Nobody will come and give it to you. You have to go and take it.
Yeah.
You have to go and fight for it. You have to apply.
Absolutely.
And it comes to what the challenges that we face down at our end. Down in Africa, we don't have the FAFSAs, the student loans, and all of that. And a lot of young people are actually frustrated about that. And I used to try and encourage them to say, we don't know why it is this hard, but you just have to put in, as much as you can. And you just talked about that now in terms of the number of doors you have to knock on.
Because people, it's the funding that is difficult. Admission is not difficult.
Exactly. Yeah. I had loads in my house.
Yeah.
The postman even knew me at some point because it was prospectus after prospectus after prospectus. Yes.
It's the funding that is difficult. So, but in an average American can go to any school he or she wants. Doesn't have to get a scholarship, can always get a loan from the government.
Yes. Yeah.
Plenty of loan companies.
Yes.
Willing to loan him or her.
Yes. And that's why we cannot compare. I always tell young people, these days we have Instagram, we have TikTok. You see your mates living life because they are born on the other part, the lottery of birth, as they call it.
Yes.
They are born on the other part of the world. You may not be able to do the things that they are doing just because of the challenges that you have where you are. So you have to understand what you have to put in to be able to.
You have to put in more.
You have to put in more.
Yep. Now, the advantage is because you have to put in more, if you just keep that edge,
keep that standard,
it's going to pay off for you
in the long run. Wow.
Your resilience, the things you learn along the way you see life,
it's going to pay off for you.
Yeah. Because there are some things that you will get that other people won't get.
Because you are always putting in more. Amazing. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Taiwo. And getting into Shell, how was that post-graduation?
Same process. You knock on doors. I applied to 700 jobs.
700?
700.
Wow.
Because which is why I'm doing what I'm doing now with my immigration consulting. Not only do I need a job, a good job, the job also must be willing to sponsor
your right to stay and work in the US.
Exactly.
Yes. So you are looking for 2 things basically.
Exactly.
In every application.
And each of the things I was looking for was already difficult. I mean, just getting a job was difficult. And then getting a job that could sponsor you was also difficult, which is similar to the issues we have in the UK as well. Some people want to get a job, but they also need sponsorship as well. Exactly. So the reason I said, it's one of the reasons I'm passionate about. So one of the things I do now as my business is
in consulting,
telling people, hey, if you actually have a master's or a PhD, or you have your bachelor's and so many years of experience, you can petition for yourself, get that visa, and then one huge step has been
taken off.
taken off.
So you don't just need to look for a job, but you've petitioned for yourself to get
The work part. So
The work
so
part.
they are saying, do you have a work authorization? Yes.
Yes, I do. So what is this particular type of visa that you're talking about?
It's called the EB2 NIW visa. Long acronym.
Yeah.
EB just means employment based.
Okay.
There are 5 of them.
Okay.
Category 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So
Okay.
category 2,
Yeah.
so employment based category 2 is
That's right.
EB2.
EB2.
But even a normal EB2, you still need a job that will sponsor you.
Right. Right.
But there is now a subcategory of that EB2
Yes.
called the National Interest Waiver.
Okay.
And the meaning is already in the word. If it is in the national interest of the United States to have you in the United States, they're going to waive the requirements that you should have a sponsorship.
Amazing.
So that's why it becomes a big deal, because now you now have to prove
that it is in the country's interest to keep you.
exactly
That you are going to be valuable for the country.
Yeah. So it's not as simple as just filling a form
Yes.
and checking some list. No,
Yes.
you now actually have to argue
Yes.
your case.
You have to argue your case. Wow. So you do that consulting for people
Now,
on the side. So you were in Shell for how long?
12 years,
For 12 years.
almost 12 years. Yeah.
And you rose to the top of hydrogen operations.
That's correct.
So you are also an hydrogen expert.
I guess you could call me that. Yeah.
So if we want to power by hydrogen, we should reach out to you.
Please do. A lot of companies are doing that already.
Because I know you also do, like you talk to some people like in the Middle East that are trying to get into hydrogen
Yes.
and all of that. So how was it for you when you were about to leave Shell? Like, did you just feel like you wanted to start doing your own stuff?
It's, I told you that I've always had this intuitive feel for what my next step should be. And as I was approaching 40 this time last year, I said, 40 seems like a good
time.
a good time to jump off.
Wow.
And then I became also inspired by my friend Jarus. Like,
Yes.
Yeah, like, if you could do it, I could do it too. That's actually interesting because I don't know whether it's an Offa thing or so, but he started on his own when he was 42.
Yes,
so I was
yes,
like, I think 40 is actually a good age to do that. But even though I knew, it was still like, okay, so what should I do? Fortunately, unfortunately, whichever way you want to put it, Shell was closing down hydrogen operations.
Wow.
Yeah. So nobody actually took my role. My role has gone away.
Wow.
Because the entire division went away.
Wow.
So Shell was closing hydrogen operations in California, in the US. It is we're not moving away from hydrogen. It's just a strategic shift.
Okay.
We're actually building hydrogen plants. Right now in Rotterdam, in Netherlands, Shell is building the biggest electrolyzer in Europe.
Wow.
200 megawatts.
Wow.
And there are still plans to build some things in Canada and in the Gulf Coast in the US. So there is only a pot of money for hydrogen. And it's being shifted into this big project.
Right.
So something has to give.
And
it was the existing operations
that was there in North America.
Yeah. So I've been thinking I want to do something at 40, and now they're closing shop.
Why would you want to put yourself through the process of go and put effort into somebody else's thing when you can actually build yours?
Yeah. And then, over the last 3 years that I've been in hydrogen, the experience that I've gained, I can count on my 2 hands the number of people in the world that can say they have the experience that I have.
Wow.
The type of stations I've built.
Wow.
The number of stations I've run.
Wow.
My understanding of the end-to-end process, I can count on my 2 hands the number of people in the world
that has that.
So that's something valuable.
that you can put into your consulting.
that I can cash in on.
Yes.
That
Yes.
I don't think, me throwing that away and then going to get the next job inside Shell, I don't think that just didn't sound like a wise move to me.
Wow. One thing that I've taken from our discussion so far as we round up is that from Offa, that belief that it doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter what village you were born in, it doesn't matter, if you are the last in the family, it doesn't matter, as long as you are ready to give value to the world will embrace you. As long as you're ready to put the hard work in, the world is ready for you.
Absolutely.
It may be tough.
As long as it's in the national interest.
As long as it's in the national interest. You've got skills that are in demand, that is in the national interest. The world is ready for you. And you have shared this amazing journey with us, the amount of good work you do with MT Scholarship, the number of, I hope you continue to get more funding to be able to do more. You are changing lives, and we thank you so much for that. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for coming down to London to share your journey with us. And we are looking forward to what you'll be doing in future. We'll be following you. So if you are not following Dr. Taiwo, well, you are sleeping on it, as they say. Every time he's always doing something about the books he's reading, or he's always hosting something about some amazing work that is going on out there. He's no longer having to answer to someone now. He answers to himself. So if you are lucky enough to get his attention, please, everything he does, make sure you are following. That is what has worked for me in my life. I saw his tweets starting to come up some time back, and I said, no. When I read the 1, 2, 3, I said, no, this person, I have to follow this person. I have to put the tweet on notification. And that's the beauty of the internet. And look at here we are, doing this. And I must say, thank you so much for.
No,
for
thank you.
this.
Thank you for having me. This is a pleasure. I practice what I preach.
Amazing.
I'm leaving this podcast to go and talk to one of my mentors.
Wow.
He's a Shell executive.
Wow.
So I follow no road.
Amazing. In a parting shot, a young person now, somewhere in Africa, somewhere in the trenches, he wants to do well. What are the top 3 things that you tell him to look out for? I know there is a lot, but if you could pick top 3, just give him something or give her something.
So the first thing I'm going to tell you is, number 1, you have to believe. It all starts from belief. If you believe you can, you're right. If you believe you cannot, you're right. So you have to believe. You can't doubt. You can't say, maybe it will work for me or maybe it will not. No, you have to believe. That's number 1. Then number 2, that belief, right, is not going to let you look for knowledge on how to make whatever you believe to come to pass. So that's where all those things as follow no road and all of that now comes into place. So follow the right people, listen to the right voices, surround yourself with the right influences. And then number 3, then you have to be willing to act. So you have to believe, you have to know or gather information, and then you have to act on what you know. And through all of this, you have to have faith that this is going to work. Faith over fear. Your dreams over fear. Because sometimes you're too afraid and you don't want to do anything.
And that rounding up reminds me of what Steve Jobs said, where he said, if you are afraid of failure, you won't get very far.
You won't.
Thank you so much, Dr. Taiwo. Thank you. Thank you so much.